We are live. Welcome back to the Golf Shop. Jim McCleary. And this is what is in your drawers. Actually, what's in my drawers. And that came from an idea that old club makers are excellent pack rats. And we are. And it was just about what we would find in our drawers. And so we were talking about historical stuff, and I've pretty much gone through all the old stuff that anybody would want to see. And now we are talking about what we've done in the day and fitting and equipment and all that other stuff. Yeah, go ahead. So today, as I posted up on YouTube, that we had a trifecta of fittings, and meaning that we had three people come in all at the same time, and they knew one another, and they were all three. They were the epitome of why fittings need to be done. And so to kind of give you an idea, the first gentleman was an older retiree, very good golfer. He was into single-digit handicaps, slower, smoother. Where the other one was a husband and wife team, and the lady was a smaller frame, smaller person, but just as aggressive as the little body could make it. And the other guy was a firefighter and very bulky, and tried to swing comfortably, but because his arms are so big, it was really, really hard to get things going. So there was a myriad of things that were going on. And just goes to show a couple of things. One is for the older gentleman that was swinging very well, had stiff shafts, and apparently had these clubs for a while. And as soon as I told him about being smoother, can use lighter weight, even more flexible than the swing speed would allow, he kind of gave me that, I don't know. And next thing you know, he's hitting it, and he is striping it, and all of a sudden he's got a baby draw. And he's like, well, that's what I used to hit when I was younger. I said, that's because your clubs were younger too. And so you could get around with that. So, and that was the big aha moment for this guy. Then I really surprised him with putting graphite in wedges. I know that was a thing about a tournament ago, maybe even 2 tournaments ago, where there was graphite and some wedges, and one of the announcers was kind of tripping all over himself about it. However, there's some good shaft companies out there making good wedge shafts. So you don't go from having graphite shafts, sledgehammers, right? With regular stuff, you can make the small transition and get there. And so I think we even gained him a club or 2 in order to get out there. So that was a good thing. The lady that we had, just really long armed, and just this teeny weeny little frame, and these arms just stretching away in order to swing, and couldn't figure out why I wouldn't get any power. And so we had to kind of break a few molds of staying connected, and because her arms were just getting too far away from her. And it was funny, the minute we started talking about how to swing and why we're swinging that way, back stopped hurting, the swing speed stayed the same, but the quality of hit went way, way up, right? Went way, way up. And all of a sudden, that's where the distance comes from, is the smash factor as it goes way up. So once we figured that part out, then that transitioned into lighter clubs in the driver. Do we like hybrids instead of Fairway Woods? That kind of stuff. And then the firefighter, because of his build, had a hard time getting through to the follow through, and so it was causing what I call Tyrannosaurus Rex arms when you finish right here instead of here, and it was causing this big wide open. So once we got the idea of letting the hands actually get through the ball instead of steering the club, then it was okay. Then it became, because he was so strong and so aggressive through the bottom end and at the top, that we added weight. We, instead of being super light for the lady, we went actually kind of heavy for the guy. And we counterbalanced driver and heavily, and all of a sudden it started working. So it's amazing how some things work. And then we finished them up with the putters, and we cut one down about 2.5 inches and bent it so that it would work. And the one gal was all over the map, and once we showed her the ladder drill and how to control the face, boom. The other guy was a little bit too far over the ball, which is a big bad habit in a lot of cases. And so once we backed him off the ball, and again, back weighted the putter, which is a tremendous idea in a lot of putters that, you know, that's the reason why the Stroke Lab is doing so well, that he started making a lot of putts. So, you know, all in all, it was a really good day, very, very informative on what was going on. And so that was a very good thing. Last but not least, I don't know if he's made it on or if he's going to make it on, but Stump normally makes it on. And we've made him a wedge, a T20 56 wedge. But the cool part is he wanted a custom. That's that new custom company that makes these big ferrules. And then and we put it in a KBS Tour, a C-Taper Limited, and then finished it off with a Golf Pride MCC4. So a very, I don't know, Raiders kind of look maybe, or, you know, very, very bicolor. For black and white, that's exactly what it is. So it did very, very well. So that's what, that was the big thing. We saw the Memorial Golf Tournament was held here in Ohio, and John Rahm apparently came away with it, had a big enough lead, and the guys did just about as bad enough to win, where the other guys didn't do good enough to catch him. And if you guys watched a lot of the golf on this, up here the heat has been intense. It's been in the 90s, if not higher, and it been dry. And it dried out the golf course and made things very, very hard and playable, and kept things down to a very low, almost open-like kind of conditions, and it was costing people a lot. I can't tell you how many times you would see a ball come in and land, and then all of a sudden just start going one way or go too far. A lot of people fell victim to that. So it is what it is, and that's the reason why we all play golf. Case in point, I went with my dad again. He always goes with me, and I shot Matt, you'll like this. I know you're listening. Shot a 39 on the front, just about as good a round as I could possibly put together, with only 1 3-putt, so not too bad. The rest of it was a pretty good round, only to get onto the backside and had 4 lost balls out of the first 5 holes. And exactly what I was telling you guys. I land on the side of the green, and the thing would just shoot 40 yards into the right and just go screaming into the trees. Oh, I'm not going in there. I don't do snakes. And we look around the edge and just could not find it. And that happened 3 out of the 4 times. One of them was just my stupid swing, and hooked one into the junk. Outside of that, though, it was, the funny part was even with the lost ball, I kept it to a bogey in order to do that. So trying to take the positive away from losing all those damn golf balls. So that's where that one goes. So that was fitting, in talking about different concepts, different needs, right? Because I was approached by a guy on Twitter. I've made a launch pad for a local guy who's been fighting a bit of a slice, and it was also flex oriented or even weight oriented. And the guy that was answering alluded to the fact that all you needed was the head. You didn't need to worry about all that stuff. And I simply corrected him. So that's what it was. All right, let's go to the top and see what's happened here. Wow, we got a lot of folks. Thank you, guys. Jack from Lombard, and it is Illinois. I do know that. Says, when you flow, oh, here, let's put it down here. There you go. When you flow, are you using a horizontal vise where the head position is in relation to the spine? And is the spine at the top when you twang it? Okay, so in my clamp, it clamps up and down. All right, it clamps up and down. There are some that will clamp like this. Mine clamp up and down. All right. And then I put the line at the 12 o'clock position, and then the club is toe up. So it is in line with the 12 o'clock, and I pull down, and it twangs up and down, and it makes the flow go up and down. Now, a little secret of the trade, so everybody here, if you can get it flowing up and down in the right way and your head is very secure, if you pull it back to the horizontal, not the vertical, it should still twang and flow. It should still twang and flow. I learned that one from a scientist in Puerto Rico. That's a good one. So yes, that's what I'm doing. Hopefully that helps you, Jack. All righty. Willard is on. Thank you. Matt from Massachusetts. Woohoo! Man, we are all over it. Jersey's in the house. All right. Matt, there he is. So how low did we go today? I think I saw something there was kind of an oops in there. I don't know if I want to keep going. So you just heard what I did. Maybe one day you can show me how to do short game. There it is, Stump. Hopefully you saw it, right? I think I saw a yippee later on. There it is. There's your ferrule. There's your shaft. There's your grip. All good to go, man. Turned out pretty good. I really like it. It's actually cool. The black and white, the monochrome wedge. There you go. That's it. Aaron, melting in the house again. Cooled off to 114, 110. Whoa. I saw, was it Eric Birch was out. He lives out in that neck of the woods too. And he was showing a sunset, and it was a really nice looking picture. And I asked him, what is it, 110, 112 in the shade right there or what? And apparently I wasn't too far off. All right. Doug's in Florida. Doug, I hope everything with all that stuff we hear on the news is not getting to you guys. Oh, Matt never went on vacation. That sucks, Matt. Sorry to hear that. Mansfield, there we go. Luke, Champaign. There we go. What else we got? Rob made it in. All right. There we go. Brent, way to go, dude. Thanks for showing up. Okay, Michael Ward's got a question. What are considered the ranges of an R, S, and X shaft? All right, so the numbers came away from the original rifle shaft designators. All right, and the rifle shaft designator was to use a 2.5-inch clamp with the same kind of weight, and you were to get a 6.0 was at the beginning of the X flex range. So am I saying that right? I think so. The beginning of the X flex range was 6.0, and it was that. Now, when you put more into it and you put it into a 5-inch clamp, which was most of the frequency machines were, it skyrocketed the flex or the numbers, and it was virtually 15 to 18 cycles higher. And so everybody's wondering around what is going on. And those of us that went to the rifle school, it took us a while. We had to figure out what was going on and realize that the clamping mechanism that, it was clamping more, but it was making the shaft shorter that was being flexed, and that's what was coming out. So you had one of two things you could do. You could, in order to counterbalance that, use a heavier weight when doing rifle, or what I did is I put an adapter in the back of my clamping mechanism so that I was only clamping 2.5 inches. I had a little line, shove it in there, it butt up against it, and then it would be regular numbers. Then there was we made a chart that this was going to be the designator no matter what it was based on my clamp, and that's what I've been working with ever since. Although I can convert over because I do remember how to do that. However, just as you're saying, for me in my area, that for me the regular starts at 4, goes to 5. Stiff starts at 5, goes to 6. X starts at 6, goes to 7, double, triple, so on and so forth. And that's my range, and it's about a 10 CPM range, all right, in each one of them. Now, those ranges have shifted throughout time, and some of them have moved down, meaning that the stiff or the X-Flex range was at a 5, and sometimes they've moved up. So and the charts are a little different. Okay, GolfWorks chart is a little bit different. Their ranges move a little wider. Okay, and that's based on testing a lot of shafts. So it might do like this on some cases, and it might just stay and get narrow in some cases. It just depends on the range. But their standard issue one I think runs just a tad higher than mine, and that's just their range that they get to. So if you're doing something like this and you're trying to figure it out, you can get yourself a few. It depends on how you want to build them too, right? But get you a handful of one kind and just test them out and see what it is that you get, and then you go. All right. Hopefully I got you what you needed. Well, I watch Finch and all those guys over in the UK, and it makes me want to go golfing too. It's pretty impressive, some of the things that those guys are doing. Well, Alex, thank you for getting in there. Alan, there he is. All right, here we go. Curtis, I've got a fast swing speed, looking for a stiffer profiled 3-wood shaft. Current 3-wood is M5, weight in the toe, Tensai Orange 65S. M5 weight in the toe. I'm trying to eliminate a pull draw. What do you suggest? Well, Chris, number one, I would look to make sure that you have the proper length, because if you're not a taller guy, and that from your picture you might be, I don't know. However, if you are swinging a club that is longer and it causes you to swing flatter, you can hit a lot of pull draws. Okay. Another one could be if you're really, really fast and really, really aggressive, that if you're going to a 3-wood, you might look to go to maybe an 75 or even 85 gram shaft, so that you can find the club in your swing, and that could be another issue with it. And if you really, really are that fast and the 65S is causing you issues, you may also want to consider an X-Flex, or a consideration of all three of those. So that's what we need to know. So you can try something like that. Oh, I missed something. Whoa, I missed a lot. Let's see. Or did I? Oh, there you are, Mike. Oh, I just missed a lot. Okay. Saw that. We got all those parts in for Alex, so we're going to be building soon. Record rainfall in Edmonton. Damn, that just means eventually it's making it down this way. Yes, I am. So here we go. So Willard, all the stuff, all of my machines that are 1x42 or even have the wheels on it, all run around the 1800 RPM range. And that's the unstitched buffing wheel, the wavy wheel, the 2 belts. And the only one that goes maybe a little bit faster is my Jet 8-inch with the multi-tool on it. Although it sounds like it's running faster, I've never gauged it, but I would imagine that it is running a little faster. And I think that's the reason why it removes so much metal so easily. is that because it is spinning faster, and so that's what we're doing. Alrighty, what are your type of conditions to play in? Play with a wife, shot a crowd-pleasing 76. Oh, jeez. That's harsh, Matt. That is harsh. You know, the funny part is, and hopefully there's some guys from over in the pond, but yeah, honestly, I like links golf. I do. I really like links. Although, you know, golf, I like golf in general, but if I had my druthers, links golf, and the reason being is, I normally links stuff is on the coasts, right? And so you tend to fight the elements. So it brings a dimension into the game that most people around here just aren't willing to deal with, i.e., rain, a little extra wind in your face, knowing that you might have to take an extra club or two or three, knowing that the ball is going to push you one way or another, and just having to trust on that ball is going to do what you think it's going to do. It's difficult. It is well difficult. I don't shoot nearly as good as I do not playing it, but I just like it. Now, there's other things to be said. I do like, I like playing around here. I like tracks that are not surrounded by houses, and it's more of a nature call than anything else. But and we go playing in the mornings. We start off sometime before 7 and get done sometime before, well, right around 9:30, quarter till, depending on what's going on. And somewhere in the transition, there will be dew on the greens. The ground will be receptive to an extent, and then, there we go. And they'll be receptive to an extent, and then in the second half, the sun is out, and all of a sudden, when the sun's out, then the greens are fast, and then you have to turn around and you have to really figure out what's going on. Andy from the UK, thank you for coming, buddy. Brent, basically at 92 to 96 is with the driver, keep in mind. With the driver is typically somewhere in the regular range. And now if you are massively aggressive, I would seriously consider it going up, and going up into the lower end of the stiff range. Oh man, I can only imagine. I can only imagine where that. Oh, I was just wondering if your buddies were there to see that. That would have been. Oh, that would have been done. Oh yes, we are. Thank you, Bobby. There we go. How can you fit a golfer without a launch monitor? Well, there are ways of doing it. They did it before launch monitors, and of course, they weren't nearly as precise because of the precision of the numbers, but you can do that. Now, I've met an old timer, this guy was in his late 60s, early 70s, when I was probably 20 years younger. And this was just at the beginning of launch monitors. They were just coming out. They're little bitty boxes. They didn't do much. And so what it was is he had his driving range, and he would take his my dog just came wandering in our second door like, hey, this is mine. Anyway, he had his own driving range, and he had markers at certain spots down the road, so he knew where your ball would carry to, right? He knew where it would carry to. And then he had some trees that he used as height in order to say, okay, this branch is how high, that branch is how high, and so on, in order to hit certain things. and that would be, it would be a rough estimate, but it was better than anything anybody had about hitting it higher. Now, of course, shaft profiling and all that back in the day was very, very small, but now if you have an abundance of shafts and you can check it and you can just see how things are flying, how they land and how they roll out. Mostly too, I would do a lot of, you know, for a driver, checking to see if it's going to run, and on it, and any iron you're hitting it into a green. And that way you'll know whether or not you're sticking or not. But can you? Yes. You had better be pretty doggone skilled in order to pull it off and go from there. Now they have, you know, Mizuno's got that thing where you plug it on the shaft and it's measuring the strain you're putting on the shaft. They can tell you a lot, but I don't know if it can tell you everything. All right. Brian. Well, thank you, buddy. Hopefully it didn't cost you too much, man. Hopefully it didn't cost you much. You must have a truckload of game, man, because those are some serious clubs. Serious clubs. We did this for Brian. We made him a serious set of golf clubs. It's for a guy that's very strong, very accurate, very good, and he must have done it. So, yeah. Well done. Congratulations. Ninth Bomb Squadron, known as the Bats. Okay, now we know. Look at that. Way to go, guys. Okay, so bending clubs. This is a good one. I've been asked this more than a couple of times just in the last week. So let's say that, let me see if I can get it straight. Here we go. So this is the loft. This is the bounce. All right, and the bounce is the angle between the leading edge and the ground. So I'm going to kind of, so if you see that opening that's right there, that's the bounce. Now, that's very archaic because it's measured in multiple spots, but for this answer, this is what we want. So if you were to bend it, if you were to bend the loft stronger, you take bounce out. All right, so you would take, so if your bounce was 10, it would be 9 for 1 degree of loft, 1 degree of bounce. If you add loft, you add bounce, and it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, 1-to-1 ratio. And so the more you bend it forward and the bounce comes off, the more it turns into a shovel. The more that you bend it back, the more it bounces out. But if you get ridiculous, you have a real opportunity to hit skull shots, and that's not fun either. More Florida. Well done, guys, for all the areas. That's pretty cool. Curtis from 17. Oh, I already did this one. I told you about that one. Baltimore, Maryland. Nice. I used to live outside of Annapolis in Cape St. Clair. It was near the bridge. And we used to go in Annapolis for get into the fisherman's wharf area, the warehouse, whatever they were calling it. When we couldn't catch crabs, which was almost never, we always caught them. We would go in there. But very, very cool. All right. Well, I love it. I love counterweighting. I love backweighting. I love all that stuff. Especially in putters. I will tell you my success rate of making somebody better by using back weights is about 98% in putters. All right, in putters. It slows down the twitchy muscles. That's what the whole idea here is. It slows down twitchy muscles. And it works really, really good. The roll smooths out. It's an amazing thing. Now in drivers / irons, it is teeny weeny. And it's not that I make them, I don't make them better, but they don't improve. Okay. Yes, they will. Yes, in a lot of cases the pattern gets smaller and you hit it in the middle of the face, but when you see it on the, when you see it, when it takes off, or when you see the numbers from it, sometimes, and now these are all sometimes they can add spin, sometimes the directional control changes. And so you have to be very particular about when you add that. As in, I was saying today, the guy was very strong, and he was pulling down and pulling around, and I needed to stop that because what he was doing, he was in his lead hand, he was going towards the target and he was leaving it open, and I couldn't get him to turn it over. No matter, and then it dawned on me we had to add weight. And so I gave him a heavier shaft, and that brought him from way out to less than way out. And I said, we got to do better than that. So I put a butt weight in it, and he went from less than way out to something that you can play. And it's all about feel. As a whole, what I do is, so we don't have to go crazy, for people that are aggressive in their transition, then you start using it, and you will see a very large impact. Now, that's what you're seeing in some of these. What is with the and some of the counterbalance shafts are starting to do that naturally. Now, in the counterbalance shafts over here, it makes the club feel lighter. Now, if you're an older guy that's aggressive, that's really great. If you're a younger guy and is aggressive, it might be too light. So there's all the things you got to look towards. Whoop, what happened? I saw that one. Bobby, we do not. And matter of fact, we've been considering that. I wish I could show you. We did have T-shirts when we first opened, and my son designed it, and I've got it on it's hanging on the wall right over there. And this was on the back of it. Maybe I can show it to you. Let's see if I can flip it around. Here we go. Right there. So you see that? You get the treatment the pros get in the golf. Right next to my, what is that, Norman Rockwell little print. So that's what I did. So that's what we had. And it worked out pretty good, but we just never really put anything by. Maybe we need to start doing something like let your scores go low. So that would be cool. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
All righty. The Netherlands. Look, Netherlands. Am I saying that correctly? Let me know. Yeah, so at a 110, Curtis, you're right at that X. You're right in that X flex, and specifically if you're slightly aggressive, you may want to think about the X. Michigan. All right. Okay, Michael. So, like anything in golf, the answer is it depends. Sometimes golfers are very confident with their driver. Well, let's go back. As a whole, if everything was created equal and your irons were at X speed, your driver is typically at X speed plus about 10 mile an hour. All right. So that you know that that's a consistent overall. Now you can get the iron speed at X, and he's not real confident with the driver, and it would be X minus some speed, or right at X. All right, and then that you know there's not a confidence thing. What is going on? And so you got to watch for that. So you really have to know what the driver swing speed is, their tendencies and their transitions, their releases, that kind of stuff. Otherwise, they would normally be the same, right? And then but what you have is in drivers is that you have a lot of profile selection in the driver shaft that you don't have in an iron shaft. There we go. How much lead tape would you have to add to an iron to change the swing weight from C9 to D2? That's 3 swing weights or 4, depending on how you want to count it. So D0, 1, 2, and 3. So around 6 grams. All right, it's 2 grams per 1 swing weight. Now keep in mind, when you add that, you're also going to impact the flex. Right? The more weight you add to get to there, you're going to make it softer. Now, is it going to be by a lot? I doubt it, but that's what you need to do. Now, when you go to add it to the Ping I2s, right, because they have such a big cavity in the bottom, if you want this stuff to stay on, you want to put it on the bottom of that cavity or just right across the bottom of that. And that way it'll still do its job. And use a nice wooden handle to smooth it out. There's 3 tips now. Dave, I've had 2 or 3 in there, and what basically it is, it's just a slightly longer grip with there's a little bit more weight in the back. And for those guys looking for a quick fix where just a little bit of extra weight in the back, if you're looking for a little more consistency, then yes. But it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. If it's not the right weight, it won't do you any good. If it's too much weight, it could go to the negative. But then again, if it's the right weight, it's a beautiful thing. And so I would keep that in mind. There's the chicken or the egg question, isn't it, right? Do you cut? I cut mine directly to the length. If somebody asked me, now, I have been asked more than a few times to cut them to make the measured length X length. And when I do between 1/8 and 1/4. If you look at some of those grips with a pronounced butt cap, what I do is I stick a dowel rod into the grip section, mark it, pull it back out, and then I don't lay it against the length because that would make it longer, but I try and parallel it out and just see how much extra length I have, and then that's what I do to do that. But as a whole, it's I go about 1/4. Now, I have found that some of these guys, the pures and the older style, is even more. So you've got to kind of watch that. You know how if you put pure on and they feel kind of spongy at the end, you always think you never put them on? It's because the butt cap is so big. So that's what that goes on. Well, Brent, if you're for the slightly aggressive, if you're looking for an R-Flex in steel, well, let's put it this way. Let's start with the drivers. If you like the driver shaft, right now, I think what's been a really good shaft out there is the Tensai shaft. And they have different ball flights for that. Now, if you're looking at something a little more custom, like the Acroline in the FX, or even if you want something a little more precise, you can go into the TZ. They do have regular flexes in there. Now, keep in mind, it's for a guy that's very tight here and very late in the release, but the FX is a little more friendlier, and I like the feel of that one. So you could go there. South Texas, all right. We are all over the place. Heavier shafts for stronger golfers, yes, for certain. Just like we had the fittings today, where the one guy was very strong as a firefighter, had these big shoulders and big arms, and shorter length arms, right? He had shorter length arms, so he was restricted in his movements, and he needed a little bit of extra length just basically to help him get around. So that we like that for we like that. You know, I've thought about that. I'm looking at, there's one probably going to do here shortly, maybe in another Monday, for certainly another Monday, since we don't have anybody scheduled today. That would be very, very cool. You guys better be prepared for a ride, though. When we start talking golf, oh my God, we could go for a day. And I thought I talked a lot. Man, he is awesome. All right, even with the sponge in the hole, you know that was doomed, just absolutely deemed to be a hole in one. Good for you. When building a hybrid 4/3, is that like a 4/3 hybrid or two, whatever? No, I do not. Uh, what it is, it becomes a weight issue, right? Now, we're just talking about with Sean, his are actually made to go in line with that so that they do hit. And they're a little heavier, a little smaller, a little more dense, and they do get the ball up in the air. However, in the new, we'll call it the new modern age of hybrid, where they have all the technology that drivers have in them, the idea is that they will go further. And we were again talking about that in the fitting, in that so everybody wants to compare lofts. So say a 22-degree 4-iron or a 22-degree 5-iron for that matter, the way they're getting so strong. Let's go 22-degree 4-iron. And they go, well, if I get a 4 hybrid, that's the same, right? Well, no. Okay, let's go back and figure out why. Well, everybody knows what a 4-iron looks like. And of course, they all have, there's different characteristics in those. But in the hybrid, right, in the hybrid, you go from an iron that looks about like that in my hand to something that looks like that when you look down at it. So there's more room, more elasticity, more reflection for the ball to go. It's bigger. You can get through more stuff. It's as upright like an iron, and it's got a graphite shaft in it now, and so they make them slightly longer. So this whole thing, if you had the same quality of hit, that you would probably hit the 21-degree hybrid. There's no probably, you will hit it further. And how much further is dependent on swing speed. The slower it is, the smaller the gaps, the higher it is, the bigger the gaps. And that's where you can get through that. But so I tend to build them with the manufacturer, right? Because we do a lot with the manufacturer. So, the 4139 and what would that one be? The 2 would be the 41, and then just kind of work way down from there. Should I bend the lie of a lob wedge or put more lead tape? Well, it depends. Now, lie angle, you're talking about up or down. And when you're talking about a lob wedge, lie angle is paramount. Okay? That's how you get into the turf. And if it's too upright, you'll heel it and it just feels horrible. If it's too flat, you toe it. And all these, you've seen toe shots. Everybody's got them. And you can do that. What you want is that turf interaction hitting just right down the middle. And that's how you want it done. So no more lead tape. Now, if you're talking about trying to get the ball up in the air, making it feel so you don't lose it, then yeah, you might need to do that. And no, don't bend it. All right, Rob, thanks, buddy, for coming. And stay dry in Edmonton. In some cases, I do, Kyle. And in a lot of cases, I try to do when we now. And again, it depends on how much less than standard. If I'm a half-inch short, no, because it really at that particular point, adding that little bit, it's not going to do much for the feel of the club. But if I start going an inch short or even that much further, then yes. Now, what I will also do if I'm going extraordinarily short or extraordinarily long, I try to go to the next heavier weight class for the same flex. So if 60 was your standard and you were going to go down maybe an inch and a half, you might want to consider going up to 70 so that it feels correct. There's always that possibility. Or if you're going super long, you might want to think about maybe something sub 60s in order for it to work right. But yeah, in a lot of cases, if I go really light, yeah, I'll put in in a bonded club, you put in a tip weight, or in a lot of cases, they have those removable weights. Almost every club's got one now, except for a few. And then you go to you can go to just go to the manufacturer, some aftermarket stuff, and just put in heavier weights, and that way you are not impacting the way that the club was designed to play. Australia's in the house. So is it pronounced Canberra or is it Canberra? I don't know. But Adrian, thank you for getting in here. There's my man from Sweden. How you doing, man? So which shaft did you decide on? Was it did you go with the Project X Black or did you go with the Aldila shaft? Something to know. Let's hear it. Oh, here we go. Craig's got a question. I see a 6-inch chop shot Harbor Freight for a little money. Is this a good for cutting shafts? What grit do you use to cut off the wheel? So if you're just getting started, yes, it's a good one. I think I still have one sitting in the garage somewhere. It was a 6-inch and it worked fine for me for a couple of years. And what happened was it was made out of aluminum and the thing started bending and it wasn't, and it just time for it to go. But as far as grit, it came with a metal cutting wheel on it. And so if you find the right size and the right width, right, about an 1/8 inch width, that's really what's important. You get in those wider ones, you're not going to do yourself any favors, but 1/8 inch max, all right, 1/8 inch max. And for getting started, yes. Now, it's going to throw a truckload of dust, all right, a truckload of dust, whether it be metal shaving or graphite. So you want to put something either underneath of it or around it and put a vacuum cleaner to it to suck it so it pulls away from you. All right, pull it away from you. That way you're pulling, the air is coming across the project away from you. That's probably one of the more important things ever. Yellow, huh? Yellow. Okay, why? Why did you go with yellow, man? I'm interested to hear. I really am. This is really, after all the times we've been answering these questions, I just thought that would be really interesting to know why. All righty. So we've got a little 15 minutes left, and so I figured I would take some questions off of YouTube from other videos, and I was going to go through some of them and try and talk about some of the comments on the D7 review. All right, somebody was asking me, I told him it came out to a 3.0. Basically what I was telling him is that the flex was a little light because it was a Tour 80 KBS shaft. I had to get a little bit more of that. So what I did is a Wilson D7 club review, and it's out there on my list. And I mentioned that it was that we used a KBS Max 80, and it came out to a 3.0, which is like an A flex, but it was an R shaft. And the reason being is because it's very flexible in the butt section, and it makes it less. So that's what we were looking at. All righty. Oh, here's a good one. We'll get to that one here in a second. Jeff has got a question. Jeff, mix sets are becoming more complex with game improvement on the top, more classic at the bottoms. Do you have anything with mixed shafts, higher launch but same heads? I've got a good friend in Scotland that is doing that, and he and I have talked at length about it, and it is extraordinarily cool, some of the things that he's come away with. And yeah, you can do that. Have I really had to do too much of it? No, because most of the sets that I stop at are around the 6 or the 5 iron, and I haven't really had to play with that too much. However, even nowadays with the strength of the 5 iron, you might want to even consider that nowadays. But yeah, they've had and even in the lower set, it's almost it's like a very advanced concept of the flighted shafts, right? Where the top end a little bit more ball flight, a little more friendly, bottom end a little more beefy, a little more control. And you could do that. And you're seeing it now with the likes of Spieth and company putting the Tensai oranges in their driving irons in order for the ball to get up. Now, do I see it in the sets from like a 5 through a pitching wedge? No, I don't. But could it help? Yeah, I don't see why not. But you would probably only have one, and that's where I would go with it. Okay, I get that. That's kind of their counterbalance model, isn't it? I get you. And I do dig on the counterbalance shafts. I am with you. So good job. Higher launch 4 through 6, lower in the 4 through 7, but using shafts, not the AMTs is kind of all it is a progressive weight. I don't know if it's necessarily a flighted for different ball flights. Don't hold me to that. It was like a progressive weight to kind of give you that feel. The ones that are truly that really moved bend profiles and whatnot were the original rifle flighteds, and now you start seeing some. The KBS has got a flighted one as well. Could you do that? Yeah, you could. Okay. Stability putter shaft. So stability putter shafts, the Stroke Lab putter shafts, Acker's got a putter shaft, and there's one more out there, T something shaft. Um, do they work? Again, it depends. Can it work? Yes, it can. It can work very well. Is it worth the heavy price tag for a putter shaft? That's a good question. The uh, I think what it is the stability. What we're seeing now is, and the concept of reason why we're seeing so much in Stroke Lab is, the putter shaft started wiggling because the head started getting heavier and started making them more flexible. So what they do, they beefed up everything. And then in the stability shaft, if they kind of kept that super low torque at the bottom and then counterbalance it, you're on the same concept. And yes, it can work. It can work very well. The real question is the improvement worth the dollar change? And therein lies the question. Therein lies your issue. If money were no object, what set of clubs from driver to wedge would you recommend an 18 handicap with a speed of a 114? Blair, 114, buddy. That is moving, bud. That is absolutely moving it. And the cop out answer is whatever fits. 18 handicap has got a lot of, if you just go with handicap, that means there's a lot of room for improvement, right? And so that could be ball striking, that could be a lot of different things. I would be looking at, and let's see if money was no object. So if you went to the upper end of it, even if that was, what would I look at? Oh, well, we'll keep in a couple categories. And the driver, beyond a shadow of a doubt, would be the Callaway Maverick. All right, and it's got the Maverick Max. And the Maverick Max has got this draw bias thing, so let's assume that you're hitting a fade. At 114, I would be looking at an X-Flex of something for you. And they have some aftermarket stuff, just like we were talking from my buddy from Sweden. Maybe a beefed up X-Flex or something of that nature. But I would also make sure it's the right length and loft angle so that thing works for you, right? In the iron department, I'm going to kind of skip around. In the iron department, I'd have a few choices for you. We're going to assume that at 18 you're still hitting fades, maybe hitting fat, maybe something along that lines. I would look at Mizuno hot metals, right? And at 114, yet again, we are looking at maybe the KBS line. If you're really swinging hard and you're younger, maybe the Tour S, maybe even actually probably if you're really aggressive, maybe the C tapers. Now, if you wanted to get fancy, they do come in that limited edition, just like Stump got. You get some black ones and look them up and be really cool. If not that, then I might look at the Callaway Apex, right? Those are a great forge club. And then my other one, what would I look for? Oh, I would probably do a new level, right? Those are three sets of irons that you can combine in every which direction. They all have the ability to have some at the top, at the bottom, but certainly with that particular shaft, I would still stay with a C taper and have some fun. Make it white, black, silver, whatever you want. In between, it just depends. If you were a guy that likes Fairway Woods, again, the Maverick, the Fairway Wood is just smoking hot. In the hybrid, it'd be a choice between this. I'm having a luck right now with CLKs. It's a smaller head. Now, if you need something bigger, certainly it could be either or. It could be one of the Callaway family for sure. And then in wedges, I can pick different wedges all day long. Again, Mac Daddies are great, Wilsons are great, and some of the Mizunos that either one of them, depending on you get. If you're going through an 18, probably stay in the JPX line, and I would use the high toes maybe in the other one, and maybe consider that even in the Callaway. The putter, if you wanted to really just go crazy, I would look at the Toulons. It's a milled putter. Why not? It's one that you could have for a very, very long time. If not that, maybe check out Peretti. They're a good one, and then Mizuno has one as well. So I would look at that. Okay. I would look, Jeff. Honestly, I would look at the Strixons. I like Cobra's path that they're going, but I don't know if they're there yet. The Strixon is been done. That's been done before and successfully. I just know that. And you could go that, and then you can bend. You can loft because the lofts are going to be different, right? So you can trade. You can make some stronger, some weaker, in order for you to get where you're going. And the forge process with Strixon, I am very, very aware of, and they are very, very nice. So yes, you could do that. All right. Persimmon heads and modern graphite, how well do you think it would work? It worked just fine. I've got a few. The persimmon heads. Now, I had one from Louisville Golf, and it had a metal insert in it to take place of where the wrapping would go. Okay, the whipping, and it went in there, and it's phenomenal. And I've also put some in there as display pieces, but I have hit some, and they hit just fine. Again, it's a persimmon head, so you get out of it what you ask. It will feel extraordinarily soft. It's really kind of funny that thunk you get when you hit it becomes a thud when you hit it. It's really quite something. You're welcome, sir. I have heard of switch grips, but I've never had the chance to use them. It's an interesting concept. I just don't know. I don't I don't know if they come with, if they're that heavy, right? In order to be able to switch the grips and have that underlisting piece underneath there, you would think certainly that it would be heavier, but you would think. If you're not wanting to do that and you want a counterbalance shaft, you might actually look into the balance certified weights or the ones that the Golf Works has. They have a different one, and the Golf Works Canada should have it as well. Oh, but you're in Sweden, so Europe, they don't have one in Europe. Look up balance certified weights, and you'll see that one. No doubt, right? Yep. So Blair, here's the thing. For an 18 handicap, you would best be served to work from the green and work backwards. Okay. Get your putting, get your wedging, get your short game. If you can be lethal inside 100 to 150, you will drop your handicap like a stone. Okay. Most of golf, and this is statistically correct, half of golf is played within 150 yards of the green. Half. All right. So if you can play half within that area and get really good at it, and then all you have to do is get to 150 yards. And even on, so you're talking about par fours at 195 or 395, 425. You just have to hit one shot and then get lethal going in. And then once you get really good at that, then move out to the longer stuff. Okay, guys, I got about 2 minutes here. We got 3 more to do, and then we are done. Richard's back. Thank you, sir. Reshaft to 410 3-wood. Do I really need to use a counterbalance shaft? No, you do not. It was just in there and as a good thing, but a club fell out. If you don't like the counterbalance feel and you want something else, or you found a better shaft, then yes, go ahead and put that in there. No problem. They are really good for guys that the OS iron means oversized. Obviously, it's got a lot of offset on it, and it's good for a guy that's getting started. It's an excellent iron for a guy getting started. Last one, guys. Soon RC. Any recommendation for in the San Francisco Bay Area? I'm looking at my clubs refit and reshafted. Okay, so in the San Francisco area, I should know this answer because my son lives out there somewhere. I say somewhere. I should know this answer. I really don't have a name that comes right up to mind right now. So to find somebody in your area that might be worth a darn, look up the International Club Makers Guild and get on the map and see. There's got to be somebody in that area. Look to make sure that they are certified, and they certainly will have to do a good job. If you have a question, just email it to me, and I can look into the guy and kind of give you a recommendation if necessary. Also, to refit clubs that are 15 years old, I would think that really depends on your wallet. Okay, you want to keep in mind if you want to keep in mind that you're replacing two-thirds of the golf club plus the labor to do it, you will easily go over the cost of that particular club to the point where it might actually sound, how shall I say it, more cost effective to go to something new at this particular point. Now, if you absolutely dearly love these things and you don't care, then have at it. I know, sir, but thank you so very much. I'm thinking about turning that thing on. I really wanted to leave it as it was, but I'm seriously considering turning it on for the next time. Andy, welcome. Thank you, guys. Okay, we've ran over just a few minutes like always. So again, all over the U.S. this time. We had Canada, Australia, Sweden, Netherlands, the UK. Again, international group. I am absolutely I'm just flabbergasted at the fact that you guys stay on here and we can talk golf. Wish we could do it more often. So again, as always, guys, let's see your scores go low.